Artlist.io.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Plains Perspective. This is episode number 3, so I'm really glad if you're joining me today. Today we're going to break down the safety rooms a little bit. I feel like this could be, honestly, one of the strongest rooms on Auburn's whole team, offense and defense. It's really up there with the running back room. Both are really, really talented. So I'm really excited to break it down and trying to get after it. You know, last year we had a lot of true freshmen play, and they competed at a high level. And so this is a room where we could really, really be successful. And I'm looking forward to it and kind of breaking it down a little bit and giving you a little bit of knowledge if you haven't really been keeping up with anything this offseason. So I'm excited to get after it. So obviously we retained DJ Durkin, our DC under Hugh Freeze, which he was phenomenal last year. But we brought in a co-defensive coordinator, Tim Banks, who is also our safeties coach. And so getting that experience from Tennessee and then bringing it to Auburn as a position coach primarily is just huge because, being at that leadership role and being able to focus on one position group is going to be such a big deal for the safety room. You know, they're young, they're fast to learn, they're eager to learn, and it's exciting. You know, he was at Tennessee for about 5 years, and he won the Boyles Award, which is like the Defensive Coordinator of the Year award in 2024. So this is a guy with a lot of experience. I mean, he's been doing this since 1996. I mean, he started at Bowling Green, and now he's in, a Premier League with a Premier team, and he's ready to get after it. And he brings some SEC experience, and I think he can really, really do some damage with this safety room. So in this room, we got Anquan Fagans, who's a true sophomore, Eric Winters, true sophomore, Caleb Harris, true junior, and then Sylvester Smith, Fred Gaskin, and Champ Anthony. And there's a few other ones, but those are the main 5 we're going to be looking at today, or main 6 we're going to be looking at today, just because, if you keep up with Auburn remotely, you're familiar with those names. I mean, these are guys who have played a lot of snaps, especially the 2 true sophomores, Anquan Fagans and Eric Winters. And, a lot of people kind of put them together. I mean, when they announced they were returning, their graphic had both of them on them. You know what I mean? And, these are 2 guys who are unselfish and don't mind to share the spotlight. Nowadays you got guys, they do their Hayes Fawcett edit and, they all want to, they want that spotlight for that little bit. But, these are really 2 unselfish guys who just want to go out there and compete. And, I'm excited to kind of talk about them a little bit. We'll start with Anquan first. This is a guy who, he was very highly touted out of high school. And, a lot of people expected him to play a lot as a freshman. And, as a lot of people expected, he did play a lot. He put up 24 tackles. He had an interception and a pass breakup. And, it was big news when these guys returned because Anquan can be he's such a unique player. And, we've kind of been missing what they call a lurker, a guy, in the back who can kind of lurk. And we had that a little bit, but this is a guy who can primarily be in a position to be one of the best in the conference. And so I'm really excited about him. He'll be, like I said, a true sophomore, so he's still an underclassman, still young. But, if he can keep developing, he can really, really be one of the best safeties, not only the conference but the country if he sticks around and continues to develop. But super, super excited about him. I mean, he's, like I said, young guy, but super high ceiling. And, with this freshman year, he kind of took off. And, if he can put that on to the next year, we'll be, no, there's no ceiling on this kid. I mean, he's through the roof. But like I said, you normally pair Anquan Fagans and Eric Winters together. And, Eric Winters, like I said, another young guy. I mean, he's a true sophomore. And like I said, he announced he was coming back with Anquan. And so these are 2 guys who, you kind of link them together. And they're both just so talented. Another 4-star kid out of high school, highly touted. He was I want to say he was either committed to Georgia or predicted to Georgia and then ended up coming to Auburn. And, if Georgia wants a safety, then, he's going to be, he's going to compete at Auburn. So we're super glad we got him. But last year as a true freshman, He was the highest graded run defender according to PFF in the whole conference as a true freshman. Not, within the freshman class, but the whole entire conference, from any class. He graded out at a 92. And like I said, as a true freshman, that's a kid who went out there and played at the highest level you can play at, against the best competition you can play against. And he absolutely competed against, some of the top running backs in the league. I mean, they played Ahmad Hardy against Missouri, and I think he led the country in rushing yards. And so he definitely has that experience against those kind of guys. And, like same thing. I mean, kind of goes back to Anquan Fagans. I mean, if he comes out and he has another, and if he grows and develops and becomes a solid guy, I mean, that room will be absolutely elite next year. And I think that's what I'm expecting to happen. I think that's what the coaching staff's expecting to happen. But that's super exciting to have those two young guys be so far advanced and ready to go get after it, even though they're not the most experienced kids. They're definitely one of the most, two of the most talented kids in the conference at that position. But yeah, so he was the highest graded run defender, and as a true freshman, and he's competing against other guys. But him and Anquan really have a chance to come out next year and really make a difference. Yeah. So the next guy we're going to talk about is Caleb Harris. So here's a guy. He came in his freshman year. I think he was Auburn's lowest rated recruit at a high school. He went to Thompson, so he's going to be a guy either way. Came in his freshman year and was elite. I mean, this was probably one of our best defenders on defense, and this was as a true freshman. He took a little bit of a step back going into his sophomore year. He graded out his freshman year at a 78, and then this past year graded out as a 66. And I feel like every single time you looked up, he was getting burnt. And I don't know if that's because of the scheme or that's because it was mental issues. He started off the year kind of slow, and he could just never really pick it back up. I don't really know why that fall off happened. But, whenever a kid has that much success as a freshman, the talent is there. You don't just lose talent. I mean, it's definitely there. And so if he just keeps competing and just keeps getting better and better, he could really break out this junior year. And a lot of people forget about him because he had that slump. But just because you have a sophomore slump, it doesn't take away what you did as a freshman. And if you can do that as a freshman, you gain a lot of weight, you gain a lot more experience. I mean, this junior year, he could really be special. It's just mental at this point. He's got to get over that and just, start fresh. Just block out the outside noise and just continue to remember that you were one of the best freshmen in the country. And, if that happens, that just adds more depth. And, these three, Anquan, Eric Werners, and Caleb Harris, I mean, these three guys are, DJ Durkin he subs a lot. I mean, this man, I've never seen it, anywhere else, but he likes to sub a lot. And so if we keep these three guys at such a high level, and we're subbing without a fall off, later in the game when the other team's tired, I mean, this could really come in big, because safeties are such an important part of the game. They have to be the smartest guys on the team. I'm sure they have the green dot on their helmet where they're listening to Durkin. But yeah, these three guys are just like so crucial to this team and so crucial to the success. I really, really hope it works out for these three. And so the next guy I want to talk about is Sylvester Smith. This guy, super talented kid. He's a hard hitter. You know what I mean? He's looking to hit hard. And that's the kind of safety. Like I was mentioning earlier with Anquan, he was a lurker. Sylvester Smith, he's a bruiser. He's coming to lay you out. I remember we were playing Ball State. It was early in the season. Boy, they threw a sideline pass out of bounds, and Sylvester went over there and laid my man out. But the negative thing about that is he got ejected, I think, twice this season for targeting. So, when it comes hard hitting comes, hard responsibility. And so hopefully he kind of takes that back a little bit. But like I said, that goes back to the depth piece. I mean, this is like the hardest hitter on our team behind one other guy I'm going to name in a little bit. But he really is, he's a special kid. And I mean, that just goes back to the depth. I mean, this is a fourth guy coming off, your fourth safety. And, he's just as talented as the other guys. You know what I mean? There's not really a fall off. And that's what makes this room so special to me, though, is because depth is so much more important on defense which I don't know how Golish subs quite because he changes everywhere he goes. But Durkin subs so much that depth is such a huge, huge factor for them. I mean, look at last year. I mean, our defensive line was. I mean, I feel like every chance they had, someone new was coming in, and with this depth, it's such an important part because there's no fall off. And like I said, Caleb Harris, he really struggled sophomore year, but Sylvester Smith really had a good sophomore. He had a solid sophomore year. He did what we expected him to do. And at this level of college football, that's amazing. I mean, that's great. That's what we want from a guy like Sylvester Smith. I mean, he brings experience and yeah, but like I said, deaf piece, but could I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he started. But yeah, the next guy I'm going to talk about a little bit is Fred Gaskin. This is a guy from USF, followed Golish. So we only had two guys from USF from defense actually come to Auburn. I knew we took a bunch of guys on offense, but we only took two guys. We took Gavin Jenkins and Fred Gaskin. Fred Gaskin last year, he's a culture piece. He brings over what Golish wants to do because culture doesn't just work on one side of the ball, it works on both sides of the ball. And so with Fred Gaskin on this team, it really brings up a culture aspect of him being able to come in and show everybody, what they want to do as a team. And he can be a leader on this team. I mean, he's an older guy, and obviously I expect him to still play. I just don't know if he'll get as much PT as Eric Winters and Caleb Harris. But this is a guy. I mean, it's going to be difficult to keep him off the field. Truthfully, I mean, especially with the experience he's had with Golish and that side of the ball, it's going to be difficult to keep him off the field. And last year he was on the All AAC team. And I know it's a lower level of football, but at the same time, I mean, you can only be as good as the competition you're playing. And so I think this gives him an opportunity to really open up and prove on a higher scale that he can really do this at this level. And I'm sure he accepts the challenge. And like I said, going back to the culture thing, I think that's such a big, important part of goal because he said he wants his team to be player driven. And bringing over a guy like Fred Gaskin, who is, he's used to being in a program that's player driven. And last year, we just didn't have that culture. And so having a guy like Fred Gaskin is going to be so huge, not only for the defense, but for the culture. And yeah, I mean, this is an uber talented kid who could really do anything. But yeah, I'm excited for him and happy to have him on the team. It brings, and going back to depth, like I said, DJ likes to sub a lot. And so when you come from depth and your fifth guy is, he can start almost anywhere. And he decided to come to Auburn, and yeah, I'm just really excited about that. But getting off topic a little bit there. But anyways, that's Freddie Gaskin, culture piece, all AAC last year, and he really has a chance to make a difference on this defense this year, especially under a new DC who likes to scheme. The next guy I want to talk about is Champ Anthony, and Champ Anthony is he, like I said earlier, he's a hard hitter. Or there's a guy that's more harder of a hitter than Sylvester Smith, and I was talking about Champ Anthony. And he's he's a guy who just has struggled with injuries. I mean, his first year against Arkansas, I was actually at that game. Baseline or sideline nails the kid. One of the hardest hits I've ever seen, and I was there in person, and it looked. I mean, it was brutal. And like 2 plays later, he tears his ACL or MCL, one of the two, and he's out for the season, which was absolutely devastating because at that point in time, he might have been the best defender on our team behind Keldrick Falk. I mean, this was a guy who was dominating. I mean, the ball was, there was a no-fly zone over there. You know what I mean? It was just, he was an elite guy. And then this past year, he played through, he was still very, very talented and very good and still hard hitting, but he just continued to struggle with injuries. He had, I think he had broken his hand against Baylor, and he didn't look as good later in the game. It's because he was out there with a broken hand. The kid's tough as nails, and I hate it for him because he could be so talented, and he is so talented. He just has to stay healthy, and I'm hoping he can stay this whole year healthy and just show everybody what he has. Because if he can stay healthy, this is a guy who can be he was a team captain last year. This guy who can be a captain. He can help, set the culture and on both sides of the ball this time, and really be a difference maker. And not only a deaf piece, but play. And I keep saying deaf piece, but all these guys are going to play. All these guys are going to continue to get reps because that's how Auburn's defense runs if they don't change anything. But our safety room, like I said, it's super talented. I could see her if Anquan and Eric Winters take a step forward. I could see our safety room being a top five safety room in the conference. And I'm saying top five, and you're like, oh, that's not, top two, top three. It's not number one. But our safety room is so young that if it's top five, that means Eric, Anquan, and yeah, Eric and Anquan just made that jump, and they're elite, and they're the top five safeties in the conference. And if those two can make those jumps, and we have a decent offense, I mean, our safety room really could carry our defense to a couple more wins as long as our offense is mediocre at best. I mean, if we just continue to grow, because we didn't. I'm trying to think. I don't think we lost any safeties. Um, and so, if that, room is just continues to grow, it's going to be, just an elite room. And I think it could be top five in the conference, which is, if it's top five in the conference, then, it could, that just opens up a little bit more on the interior because I think pass rush might be a problem for this team. It has the talent, but it's a lot of unproven talent. And so with the safeties that we have, it can give a little bit more breathing room for the defensive linemen and the edge rushers to kind of get their groove a little bit, especially at the beginning of the season and kind of get their footing. Because, I mean, like I said, super talented guys, just unexperienced. And so, like, I'm just really hoping that these guys take the jump and we can really be an elite safety room. And that would just be, phenomenal, especially top five. But I'm predicting us to have a top five safety room. And a lot of people are probably going to disagree with that because of the youth. But I just have so much faith in these guys, especially under this new coaching staff. I mean, they were doing this under a culture where, especially like a guy like they're learning under a guy like Fred Gaskin, who's been through it all and he's been through the lows and the highs. And they were with a guy like Kay and Lee, who was not the best guy to be following around. And so with a guy like Fred Gaskin, we definitely have a culture shift. And so, like, if Anquan and Eric really take on that culture shift and take it serious, they could be elite and they could really be some of the not top two safeties in the conference, top two safeties in the country. If they just take that leap and they take it serious when they move on. But yeah, I mean, we're back under DJ Durkin for this season, and he was elite last year. I expect him to be elite this year. I'm really excited about Tim Banks. I think because he's a co-DC this year as well. But like I said, he's super experienced. He's probably rubbing his hands together as he looks at this room and is ready to kind of learn from him. But that's all. It's going to wrap it up today, guys. Really excited about this room and really excited about this upcoming season. Yeah, but that's going to wrap us up today. This has been the Plains Perspective, episode 3, and we'll catch you next Tuesday. War Eagle.